In this video, I'm going to cover how to file a chemical approval for the Bechtel Center Chemical Policy. If you're certified under the policy, you must be aware that for you to use any new chemical, you need to achieve an approval first. To get the approval, the first thing you need to do is file our chemical approval / disposal / labels form. You can scan the QR code or just click it and it should navigate you to the chemical form. I'm going to open that in a new tab. As you can see, all of the requests route through this central chemical form channel. I'm requesting an approval, so I'm going to go ahead and click that and click Next. It is clearly indicated here that I should check the inventory to see if my chemical is already approved. If it is already approved in the if it is already approved in the inventory, all I really need to do is file a chemical reapproval, and that's a lot shorter than the longer form that you see in front of yourself. So to do that, let's make the assumption that this is the chemical that I want to approve. Loctite 242. I navigate back to the policy. You should find the inventory under the right to know. As you can see, that you can either scan a QR code or click this link to open up the inventory. Now the inventory has many entries, so a simple Command F should be sufficient. Loctite, find next. Looks like there's quite a few Loctites. So let me search for 242. So looks like we got a hit. Here is our Loctite 242, and this is already approved. Now it looks like this has been approved for IEEE. For the purposes of this video, let's assume that I am in a Purdue club called PC, Purdue Club. So based on the instructions on the form, I should go back and file for chemical reapproval. So I'll click the back button, go to reapproval, next. Now I'm being asked a few questions. The first thing I'm being asked is which room do I want to use the chemical in. So let's say I'm using this in electronics. The row number of the chemical from the inventory, that's row number 87. The owner, so in this case, I'm part of this fictitious club, so I will provide a fictitious link. How's the chemical being applied? So in this case, drops. Submit. And that is how you file for reapproval. Now let's pretend for a second that Loctite 242 was not on the inventory, so we can see how you would file for approval. Submit another response. This time I'm going to go for approval. Now I know that this is not true and I should go back, but just for the sake of this training, we will pretend like 242 was not previously approved. So did you obtain the SDS from the manufacturer's website? We need the latest SDS. Do not simply Google search and pick the first SDS. SDS from the manufacturer's website would be considered latest. So a common mistake is to do something like this. Now I did that and I have an SDS here, but this is from a national laboratory. The fact is that many places need to comply with the chemical policies And just like we put our safety data sheets online, these guys also put their safety data sheets online. So it is quite possible that an outdated SDS just keeps getting cycled around as people just Google search and take the first link. So the proper thing to do is to go to the manufacturer's website. Now, it isn't always obvious from the product name who the manufacturer is. So this is called Loctite, but it's actually manufactured by Henkel. So I should go and search for Henkel SDS. Now it looks like Henkel has an entire portal for SDSs. And this is quite common but can vary from manufacturer to manufacturer. So I'm looking for safety data sheets. I'm just going to type in 242. Okay, there's a lot of 242, so I'm going to type in Loctite 242. And there's quite a few variants. So it's important that you pick the correct variant for your specific chemical approval. In my case, I will assume that it is 242 blue thread locker. So there are two variants here as well. I'm going to assume this is the variant corresponding to the product I have. Now, I want you to pay close attention. The immediate Google search result has an issue date of 11/7/2016, and the official one from the website has an issue date of 5/3/2023. The reason it is important to get the latest variant from the manufacturer is because our understanding of chemicals change over time, and thus the communicated hazards and safety procedures do get updated. And we do not want to base our assessment off of outdated data. So since this is from the manufacturer's website, I will use this SDS as the official one that I will file with Bechtel. Yes, I have obtained the latest one from manufacturer. Which room? Let's assume again that we will be using this in electronics. Name of the product. Now, don't be tempted to type blue Loctite, because what we are asking for is the name of the product as per the SDS found in section 1. So moving over to the SDS section 1, the manufacturer calls this 242 blue thread locker. So I'm just going to copy paste that. There we go. Name of the manufacturer also found in section 1. So I can see right here the name of the manufacturer. Common name. Now here I can call it whatever I like. So I can say blue Loctite, if that's the name my team uses or I use. Revision date. Now, revision date for this happened to be right here. However, the revision date can be in many places. So if you are having a hard time finding it, consider using find and looking for date. So you can see my first entry is right there. So it's 5/3/2023. I'll just copy that and paste it. And do not worry about any specific formatting. We are able to auto format it. Just make sure the day, month, and the year is in there. Signal word. So signal word, as per the instructions, can be found in section 2. If no signal word is found, select none has. Going to section 2. Now this might not be apparent, but this is the signal word right here. Now some manufacturers will explicitly label signal word and then state the word, but in Henkel's example, they just stated warning right here. So effectively look for warning and danger And if you cannot find those two in section 2, you can assume that it is non-has. We have warning. After I select that, I have a few extra questions pop up. So the first one is hazard statement as per the SDS found in section 2. Copy paste from SDS and remove any unnecessary spacing and hazard statement codes. So if you look here, these are the hazard statements. Again, this is not always apparent. Some manufacturers will have a title called hazard statements with the hazard statements inside of that title. But in the case of Henkel, they just type it up right next to warning. So I'm going to copy paste this, and okay, I'm having a hard time selecting that. So I'll get the first one, and then I'll get the second one. I'll add a space. I do not see any unnecessary spacing, and I also do not see any hazard statement codes. Now you might not have seen hazard statement code, so I'm going to pull it up so you can see what that looks like. This is the Wikipedia page on hazard statements. These are the hazard statement codes. Sometimes the manufacturers put the code in here along with the hazard statement. For this form filing, we are not interested in the codes. Just make sure you just have the hazard statements. So with that, I'm done with number 9. Moving on to number 10, summarize hazard statements in your own words. Be as concise as possible. The objective of this is to have a very short set of hazard statements on the label on the bottle. To do that, I can summarize information. So causes skin and eye irritation can become, along with causes damage to organs, can be shortened into causes skin irritation, skin and, or let's see, skin and eye irritation, damage organs. Now I do understand some context is lost there. However, it conveys enough of the hazards. So this is a good, concise summary. So I have excluded this information, but I have not hidden any dangers. I have only excluded any conditionals. Moving on to number 11, state the composition of the product as per the SDS found in section 3 of the SDS. So let's work at this piece by piece. This is section 3. Format is shown here and an example is provided. Now it is very important that you're diligent with this and you type everything properly, as if you do type it properly, we are able to use our own PPE calculator, which will quickly give us what the appropriate PPE for the given product is, instead of us having to do digging to find that out. So let's see. Here are the CAS numbers. So I need to include the CAS numbers followed by a highest whole number percentage. Now in this case, you can see there is a range 10 to 3, 10 to 30. So I'm going to state 30. So I'll copy this one right here, paste it here, space 30%, comma, copy this one right here, paste 5%, copy this one here, paste 5%, copy this one here, paste 5%, copy this one here, paste 5%, and copy this one here, paste 1%. Now you do not have to worry if your percentages add up to more than 100. That is totally fine. Whenever there are ranges, there is a possibility that if you take the highest, it adds up to 100. Now what is important is if you have something like 0.1, so imagine that we only had 0.1 here, you will round that up to 1%. So if I had 0.1, that would get rounded up to 1%. This is the part that we worry that will have the most errors, and it's important that you get this information correct so our analysis is possible, automated analysis is possible. Now we'll move on to question number 12. Select all GHS symbols as per the SDS. This can be found in section 2. So going back to section 2, looks like our symbols are here. So I have these two and I will make sure to select those two. So here's the first one and here's the second one. Now number 13, again, we are pretending as if I'm in a club, a fictitious club called PC. So purdue.edu/boiler link. Now this is a fictitious boiler link. Make sure you actually search up your team to know what your correct boiler link is. There we go. How is the chemical applied? As before, drops, and rename and upload the SDS. Use either the common name or the product name. Format common_name_SDS. So the common name is right here and the product name is right there. I can use either name. I'm going to stick with the common name. So what I'm going to do is hit download. I'm going to call this blue Loctite _ SDS and save it in my downloads. And at the end of this form, I'm going to hit upload, blue Loctite SDS. Interesting, so it failed to upload. Blue Loctite _ SDS. Okay, this time it did not fail to upload, and I submit the form. So now that has been submitted. And with that, this video comes to a conclusion. Please watch out for other tutorials on how to use this form.